The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Amanda from CCIQ and I'll be your facilitator for today. Joining us today is Diana. She's our Manager of International Trade here at CCIQ. Now, prior to entering the overseas market, there are multiple steps that you must take to ensure a smooth transition overseas. Step one is to ensure that you have conducted a product and company export capability assessment. After all, not all products or services can be exported in their current form. Today's webinar is the first in a 7-part series, which is going to help you determine if your company is capable of exporting overseas. Before we start, if you want to ask Diana a question anytime, you can do so using the chat box that appears on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I'll now hand over to Diana, who will discuss what is involved with conducting your export capability assessment for your business, and also how to accurately identify any strengths and weaknesses within your organisational structure. Thanks, Diana.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today's part 1 of our webinar series, 7 Fundamentals to Exporting. To be more specific, the focus of our discussion will be on how to assess your export capability by reviewing your company's current operations and your product offering. But before we start on the topic, I wish to share with you why we are delivering this series. The main purpose is to assist Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland members and also other Queensland SMEs that are not export ready to become export ready. Becoming export ready refers to a point where businesses become equipped with the required knowledge and skills to successfully venture into trading with international markets. Let's get started. We will begin with identifying some of the reasons which may influence your decision to export, and then we will get right into today's topic. There are many reasons why you may consider exporting your product or your service overseas. Usually, profit growth is the main motivation. Other reasons could be increased market size and opportunities for your products and services, expanded customer network, invaluable market knowledge and experience, which will positively impact on your competitiveness, growth and long-term expansion for your business, improve return on investment, spreading operational costs over a larger input, reducing seasonal fluctuations, new markets for your product range, increased volumes opportunities through modifications to existing products, opportunities to sell supporting services, training, technology, or perhaps utilizing your excess production capacity. Regardless of your reasoning to export, a great degree of preparation and knowledge acquisition is required to be prepared. With our 7 Steps to Successful Exporting webinar series, we intend to increase your knowledge base to feel more confident with your decision on whether exporting is the right thing for you, what is involved in the process, and where you can get the required assistance from. There is a lot of information available from a wide variety of sources, but we hope to simplify the process and present your options to you in an easy-to-digest format. In Step 1, Product and Company Export Capability Assessment, we will provide you with the opportunity to evaluate whether your product is exportable and whether your company can handle the additional export business. In Step 2, Organizing for Exports and Identifying Opportunities, we will cover how to obtain your preliminary desk research, tariff and non-tariff trade barriers to export, export market screening, selection and evaluation, and how to prepare, conduct and evaluate your export market exploratory visits. In Step 3, Market Entry Strategy Options, we will discuss the most popular market entry options and the underlying factors to consider when evaluating which is the right one for you. In Step 4, Marketing and Planning Considerations, we will discuss what is involved in total export planning, including the components of a successful export plan, common mistakes to avoid when it comes to export market planning, and how to develop a sound export strategy. In step 5, regulatory and legal aspects to consider, we will talk about legal agreements such as sales contracts, distributorship or agency agreements, IP protection, Incoterms, and other regulatory and legal aspects to consider. In step 6, export logistics and export documentation, we will discuss the documentation requirements for export from Australia, including certificates of origin requirements under the various free trade agreements (FTAs) Australia has with other countries. You will hear about Thailand-Australia Free Trade Agreement (TAFTA), ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement (ANZTA), Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement (CAFTA), Japan-Australia Economic Partnership Agreement (JEPA), China-Australia Free Trade Agreement (CHAFTA) Certificates of Origin, Rules of Origin, Tariff Concessions, and Practical Applications. We will also discuss ATA carnets, certificates of free sale, and other chamber-issued documents. In step 7, export support and resources and getting paid, we will provide you with reliable information sources for your research and government and non-government entities to use to help you with your preparations for exporting. In this section, we will also be covering trade finance and payment options, including letters of credit. Today, we will focus on determining your export capability. Why do I have to do this, you may ask me? The answer is simple: to avoid costly mistakes. Think about it. You will be investing funds, resources, and your time to expand your business to overseas market or various markets. If you're unprepared and not clear what areas of your business, or if your product requires additional attention in development, the success of your future export venture may be questionable. I'll give you an example. What would happen if after your first export order, you're offered a contract for multiple orders, and you did not factor initially for the increasing of your production capacity to accommodate domestic plus the additional overseas sales? In addition, you did not factor for employing dedicated export personnel to handle the export orders because you are hoping that your receptionist can deal with the export documentation, which we see a lot here in the chamber, some of our clients, and your domestic business manager can handle export as well. How well do you think this will go in a long term? Or imagine thinking of exporting a piece of machinery with specifications which do not fit the market requirements or have different use in the market. This is why it is important, as a first step, to investigate whether your product is exportable and your company has the capability and the capacity to export. Assessing whether your product is exportable is not straightforward. There are a number of questions you need to ask yourself to make a decision on whether you should go offshore with your product or products. In terms of product exportability, think about what product or products you're selling successfully in Australia. Where are you selling them? And who are your buyers? That doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have the same identical target market overseas. Each market should be considered on its own right, taking into account channels to market, demographics, GDP, demand, competition, and other factors. However, as a starting point, knowing your current customer base and channels to market can help to identify potential prospects in overseas markets. What is your competitive advantage domestically? Do your existing customers buy your product because of the superior quality, price, brand loyalty, after-sales service, or something else? Is this competitive advantage transferable in overseas markets, and is there a demand? Often businesses tell us that there is no other product like it on the market, but they don't consider whether there is a cheaper and easier alternative to do the same thing. This is still a competitor. Is your product unique? And the most important part, will that uniqueness transfer to the export market of your interest? How about the main applications of your product? How applicable is for the overseas market? Is a similar product used for a similar purpose? Does your product meet the standards and specifications in the export market of interest? Are you willing and capable of modifying your product if needed to meet market specifications? Let's also look further to the packing, packaging, and labeling of your product. Does the packaging, packing, and labeling meet the market standards and legal requirements? The last thing you need is to ship a non-compliant product or not meet the local standards and legal requirements when it comes to packing, packaging, and labeling requirements. You or your distributor will not be able to sell the product. Then the options are to destroy it or pay to be shipped back to Australia to make the necessary adjustments. This could be a very costly mistake. Another point to consider is whether your product requires technical support and after-sale service. And if so, are you going to be able to provide technical support and after-sale service in the export market? And how are you going to do this? If your answers are positive, it is very likely that you have an exportable product. However, you need to undertake additional research and due diligence to confirm your initial assessment. We will cover preliminary and secondary market research further in our next webinar on the topic of organizing for exports and identifying opportunities. And we will send you the link to register for this one today. The next question is, does my company have the capability to export? To be able to determine whether your company has the capability to export, you have to review your resources in terms of organizational structure, personnel, funds available, technology, production facilities, and the level of commitment to export of top management. Let's start with your long-term vision of your company. Where do you want to be in a certain period of time, and what are your expected profits? How does export expansion fit into this plan, and do you have the resources to do so? Can your current organizational structure accommodate export operations? And are you prepared to make changes when required? Do you have sufficient funds allocated for export? If not, what are you going to do about that? It is not advisable to rely on your domestic business to support export operations. Are you prepared to increase production capacity if required? Think of a large export contract that might come your way and how quickly you can factor in the changes required to accommodate the export volumes. Do you have the staff, the equipment, the inputs, and the cash flow to meet that order? Do you have dedicated, experienced export personnel? You need knowledgeable and experienced staff to service your export market, and be prepared to allocate funds to recruit versus using existing staff hoping that they will learn during the process. This could cost you a lot more than investing in experienced export managers to look after your business. Do you have 100% top management commitment to export? This is a big one. If you don't have 100% commitment from the top to deal with the challenges in the rewards when building your export market, the success of your operation is questionable. There is an empirical evidence supporting the importance of this factor. Many years ago, I conducted a study for Griffith University on the topic of the effects of barriers to export on export marketing performance, where I have investigated the relationship between the barriers to export and export marketing performance. Analyzing how different tariff and non-tariff barriers are impacting on the export marketing performance resulted in the conclusions that the management characteristics of the firm was the only barrier to export that had significantly impacted on the export marketing performance, followed by the managerial indifference towards the value of exporting, management emphasis on developing domestic markets, a lack of capacity dedicated towards a continuing supply of export, and insufficient personnel to manage international trade activities. All these factors have a significant effect on firms' export marketing performance. So, if you're intending to succeed in your future export operation, then you need to have full management support, adequate financial resources, skilled staff, and a long-term commitment towards international expansion opportunities. Analyzing your strengths and weaknesses are an important part of your export capabilities assessment process. What strengths you can build on? Review what you're good at. Is your strength in research and development, or have you developed advanced technology? Do you provide excellent customer service throughout the entire sales cycle and continue it into the after-sales service cycle, or even after offer additional services not given by your competitors? Is marketing your expertise? Or is your strength in the production process? Are you able to produce a standardized product at reduced costs to fit the requirements of the market and to sell in large volumes? How adaptable are you? Can you respond quickly to changes in the market or to big orders? Have you created a successful niche in Australia for your unique product? And the important question is your company's strength transferable to service overseas markets? Not only do you need to clearly identify your strengths to support export, but you also need to address your weaknesses. You may find it difficult to be impartial in making your own assessments, and perhaps you may consider involving the services of independent consultant to discover the areas requiring your attention. You may discover that your organizational weaknesses could be lack of experience, lack of marketing ability, slow production, understaffed, need to improve technology, no funds allocated to export, ability to change the product or packaging. So be realistic with your export goals, be flexible and adaptable. Guidance and help is available. Our international team have created export capabilities checklist to help you with the process of your initial assessment of where you are at in relation to your company and product export capabilities. Austrade also has a fabulous resources for exporters on their website. Austrade International Readiness Indicator is one of those resources. Just log on www.austrade.gov.au and you'll see what I mean. The information is just fabulous. If you prefer one-on-one assistance, you're most welcome to contact us and we will help you with your assessment. Our team. I feel privileged to manage 10 exceptional business professionals, 5 in Brisbane and 5 in regional Queensland, covering Sunshine Coast, Mackay, Cairns, Townsville, Rockhampton, Gold Coast and Toowoomba. Our senior international trade team is based in Brisbane head office. Our team in Queensland, Brisbane and regional Queensland service over 1,700 exporters throughout Queensland. So as you can imagine, we are very, very busy team and we work in a very, very busy environment. Kevin Smith, our export documentation manager, Graham Roberts, our senior international trade advisor, and myself have over 60 years of combined experience, and we will be able to assist you with your export needs. If there are areas beyond our scope or expertise, we'll introduce you to our colleagues from Austrade, Trade and Investment Queensland, EFIC, and other organizations. We work in partnerships to help you succeed internationally. I have outlined for you a few contacts you might find beneficial in your export journey. If you're export ready, you may consider inquiring about Austrade Trade Start program, which will provide you with experienced export advisor to assist expanding your business. I have asked Courtney Ford, Austrade Trade Advisor for Brisbane, to join us in one of our next sessions to tell you all about this fabulous program. If you're after export market development grants, EMDG, wherein you can recoup up to 50% of your export marketing expenses, Austrade can help. Both Austrade and Trade and Investment Queensland have industry and markets experts in Australia and trade commissioners in various overseas markets to help you in the market. So please use these resources. Export Finance Insurance Corporation, EFIC, may be able to give you finance when your bank doesn't want to finance your export venture. So that's another organization you may consider having a discussion with. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has all Australian FTAs on their website for your reference. Also check DFAT Free Trade Agreement portal at ftaportal.dfat.gov.au to help you determining how your product can benefit from the various FTAs Australia has with other countries, applicable tariffs and rules of origin requirements. When it comes to country-specific education and business matching opportunities in China, Japan, or the Philippines, our colleagues from the Australian-China Business Council, Queensland-Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Australia-Philippines can be of great assistance to you. For more information, please check their website, and we also provided you additional websites for companies which you may consider dealing with. At CCAQ, we acknowledge that exporters are at different levels of export development and engagement, and respectively, their training and knowledge requirements will differ depending on whether they're export ready or going through the process of becoming export ready. Our aim is to help Queensland businesses to become export ready, and with our partners to help the export ready exporters to go to the next level, achieving offshore successes by proper training, guidance, the right market entry strategies in place, and maximized utilization of the Australian Free Trade Agreements. We offer various international trade memberships to accommodate the different levels of training and assistance required. For our members, we offer a dedicated export hotline, which includes FTA assistance as well. At any time during working hours from 8:30 a.m. till 5 p.m., our members can contact Kevin, Graham, or myself to assist with their export or FTA-related inquiries. From HS codes, rules of origin, certificates of origin requirements, assistance to tariff comparison for products across various Australian FTAs, CCQ assists companies to be FTA compliant and to make informed decisions when it comes to their FTA and export market choices. We provide FTA training to our members. CCQ FTA training is an easy-to-use video training platform that allows users to better understand the fundamentals underpinning various free trade agreements Australia has with other countries and the certification requirements which comes with these agreements. We have developed live CCQ FTA training programs for Thailand-Australia Free Trade Agreement TAFTA, Asian-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement ANSTA, including ANSTA First Protocol, Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement CAFTA, Japan-Australia Economic Partnership Agreement JIPA, China-Australia Free Trade Agreement CHAFTA. The purpose of these training modules is to equip Australian exporters with the required knowledge to benefit from 5 Australian free trade agreements Australia has in place with trading partners. Each training module covers FTA overview, FTA benefits for exporters, and certification requirements under the FTA and rules of origin requirements. So please, I would urge you to test our free trade agreements modules, and we're going to develop some more in the future to accommodate the new free trade agreements which will be coming in the future. CCQ hosts FTA training events and webinars for exporters across the state. In 2018, CCQ delivered multiple regional and metropolitan events in webinar series across Japan Economic Partnership Agreement, Korea-Australia Free Trade Agreement, and China-Australia Free Trade Agreement. These events were held in collaboration with the Queensland Japan Chamber of Commerce, with the support of Austrade, EFIC, Australian-China Business Council, and Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. We facilitate inbound trade missions organized by the International Chambers of Commerce or foreign governments. The most recent one was from the European Union commissioners a couple of months ago. This provides opportunities for our members to meet with key contacts in export markets. On a member request, we can also facilitate one-on-one business matching sessions with the delegate or delegates from the trade mission. A quarterly CCQ International Trade newsletter is also part of the membership offerings. Our international trade members are also entitled to additional service to add value to their business beyond international trade. If you're interested in becoming a member, please check out our international trade membership offers at our website or speak to one of our helpful membership advisors on 1300 731 988. And this is the final slide of the webinar. Thank you for your time today. I hope you find this webinar beneficial, and if you have any questions or additional information is required, please ask us in the Q&A session or after the webinar. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Diana. Thank you for everyone joining us. Just summing up on Diana's comments, basically CCIQ is here to help you. It is so important to get it right when you're exporting. Use Diana and her team. They can help you get the details correct. They can help you navigate through all the jargon, all the lengthy free trade agreement documents, which can can be really overwhelming if you went through all of that yourself. Also, make sure you take advantage of the partnerships that CCIQ has with all those industry contacts that Deanna mentioned. We can get you in contact with these and basically provide you with the resources, the contacts, and the advice to help you get off on the right foot when exporting. There is so much that we can cover in exporting that you can't just do it in one webinar, which is why we've got these seven-part series. So really today is just about checking your capability. Are you ready? Is exporting for you? Print off that checklist that we'll send you. Sit down with your team, your business, go through it, and then join us for the remaining 6 webinars, because we're going to dive deeper into each aspect of exporting, and we'll send you all the links to those as well. So thank you again. We'll send out a copy of the recording and the slides this afternoon. Register for the rest of the series, piece by piece. By the end of the 7th webinar, you'll be an Export Pro. Anyway, that's all we have today. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.